Happy Wednesday, you beautiful people out there. So, as always, I'm going to ask you to let me know that you can hear me. I can see that Ashavmade, I've probably butchered that. I'm sorry. I can see you're there. So, would you just type for me? Rahul, thank you. Thank you very much, my man, for letting me know that you can hear me. That is awesome. All right, so as always, it always takes people a while to rock up. Thank you, Mehran. Thank you for letting me know you can hear me. Takes people a while to rock up. It's Wednesday, it's hump day, isn't it? So those of you who are just getting out of bed in the morning, maybe you're just at your desks with your cup of coffee. It's okay. I have made it through hump day. You will too. Those of you at the other end of the day, like me, who are now on the downward slope towards our evening meal, yay, it's nearly dinner time. I'm on a diet and man, it sucks. I really look forward to every single meal that I eat. I get far too excited about the prospect of food now. I never used to get excited about the prospect of food. All right, that lost me somebody. Sorry, person. Right, so why don't we just do what we usually do, which is just say hello and let me know where you are all tuning in from. Some people I remember, some people I don't. So please do say hello to me and we can find out where everyone's coming from. So we've got Ashav Maid. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced your name. Please let me know where you're tuning in from. Rahul, same for you. Love to know where you are coming in from. Mehran. Oh, we have Lockwood 1976 back. Good to have you back. Yes, Maryland. Sounds like such a lovely place. I think because I kind of associate it with the word merry-go-round. I have no idea why, but I always imagine it's kind of this fairground, kind of fanciful place where there's lots of candy colors and pretty things like that and beautiful trees. That's my imagination anyway. Steve Hodgson. Hello, Steve. Welcome back. It's lovely to see you again, as always. Ciao. How are you doing? Who else? We have, Montreal. Definitely a place I want to go. Oh, Ramiz. Oh, hey, Ramiz. How you doing? I hope you got the email that I sent you earlier on today with the job description review for you. I hope you got that and hope that that all made sense to you. And you're in Virginia, new Amazon HQ2. I am so jealous of Amazon HQ2. I think it's going to be amazing. And I know they are recruiting like crazy out there. I've got a guy an SDE recruiter that I work with who does a session on Friday evenings now. Zafar is his name. So if you're an SDE and you want to go to a separate session with Zafar and myself around kind of tips around SDEs specifically, that happens on Fridays, but he's recruiting around that space and he has massive targets to achieve for SDEs, solution architects. So it's going to be huge, that campus, huge. I might just go visit it one day just for giggles. All right, who else do we have? Russell. I love what you've done with the 3s there, Russell. I find that very useful when I'm coming up with passwords to change letters for numbers. Very smart. Okay, and Mehran, you're coming from Boston. Very nice, Boston. Okay, so glad you approve of my use, Russell. It's like the O's for the zeros. What else do I use? 1s for the I's. It's smart. And we've got Caesar. Welcome, Caesar from Berlin. Guten Tag. And Nick OS. You're starting in Amazon in a few days. Right, Nick, I'm going to come to you in a minute. Right, shall we just get going? And anyone who rocks up after now, rocks up after now. I know a few of you have been here before, so you will know my spiel. So I will try and trot through it, but it's important for the new people. So I am Gigi, and I am the Amazon interview whiz. I was a senior leader at Amazon for many years. Like all Amazonians, I was an extensive interviewer, but most specifically, and what is my unique perspective on this whole shaboodle, is I was a bar raiser. Now, a bar raiser's interviewing experience is a bit different from your standard interviewer. Your standard interviewer will only ever really interview around their own sphere, around their own job function, and probably only around their own locale. A recruiter will only pre-screen, because they don't really recruit unless they're recruiting as hiring managers, right? Or interviewers. They will only really be pre-screening and recruiting around their particular area of expertise. So if you're recruiting SDEs, you're really only going to be speaking to SDEs. If you're recruiting product managers, you're pretty only going to be speaking to product managers. The difference with a bar raiser is you can get onto any interview loop. So you could be tech or non-tech interviewing. You could be interviewing on any type of role type, or pretty much any type of country. So I did vendor managers, I did brand managers, I did finance roles, I did supply chain roles, I did, this last one always escapes me, and I always forget the words. Anyway, loads of different jobs. Anyway, and obviously SDE, solution design architects, etc., and Turkey, UK, France, Spain, Italy, the US, Canada, you name it. I interviewed across all of those spaces. So it gives me a completely unique perspective. I've pretty seen it all, not all, but most of it. I have hired through the course of that hundreds of Amazonians, and I really do know what it takes to get hired at Amazon. Since leaving Amazon, I set up my own Amazon interview preparation. I'm calling it ecosystem. So my vision is Amazon interview expertise for all. I was very aware when I was interviewing on bar raising that people who had coaching from an expert performed much better than people who didn't. I did some digging, found out how much it cost, and discovered it's pretty expensive to get one-on-one expert advice. So I created my YouTube channel to be able to give completely free advice, specific, very actionable advice. And then for anybody that really wanted to take their preparation to the next level, because we all know it's not easy to get into Amazon, I created a bunch of digital courses for, I think there's about 10 and a half hours for the cost of what it would take you to have 1 hour with a average interview coach for Amazon. So trying to make it accessible to as many people as possible. I obviously do these free Q&A sessions twice a week, and I do lots of posts daily on LinkedIn, sometimes twice daily if I'm feeling the inspiration. Right, so how this thing then works is, if you ask me your questions down the comment section on the right-hand side, I will try and pick ones that I think are most useful for everybody. If you have a very specific question that's incredibly specific to your role and quite specific to the technical nature of your role, I may not be able to answer it. Obviously, I am an expert in the leadership principles, in interview strategy, in the interview process, but there are levels of specificity and nuance for the 300 different job roles, job families there are in Amazon that no one person can get to. So it may well be you ask a question, I cannot answer it. So I apologize in advance for that. If you hang around until the end, I have an amazing freebie to give you that I promise you will absolutely love and you will make great use of. So please do hang around until the end. The other thing I will say, and I will remind you again a little bit later, is please like the stream. I put a lot of effort into my channel. I put a lot of effort into these sessions, and it makes a big difference to me and my channel if you actually like the content that I'm giving you. So please, right now, go and click the thumbs up like button so that the algorithm knows there's good stuff going here. Other people will see it, they will come, and my channel will surface more. Okay, so with that all said then, please do go ahead and ask your questions, and I will scroll through and have a looky-see. And as people arrive, I will try and say hello and welcome them because, of course, that is polite. And I am nothing if not polite. So let's get going. We're going to start with, I just want to say congratulations to Nick OS, who is an Academy member, which means I love you even more. I mean, I love you all, obviously, but Academy members, I love especially because you feed my children. Why wouldn't I love you? And you have your role and you're starting in a few days. Nick, that's awesome. I'm so excited for you. And I am so delighted that my Academy was able to help you achieve your goal. Working Amazon, I say it all the time. It must sound so trite, but it's true. It will change your life. It will change the way you work forever. It will change the way you think forever. It will change the opportunities that you have forever. So congratulations. I'm very proud of you. And thank you for being a member of the Academy. Ah, make me happy. All right, moving on. So who do we have questions from? Oh, some thank yous. So thank you for the thank yous, Daniello. I thank you, appreciate that. Thank you. Ah, Lockwood, that's an interesting question. I mean, you've got your loot tomorrow. You've got 4 locations to choose from: Austin, Seattle, Arlington, and New York. Which would I choose? Uh, Are you asking my professional opinion as to which of those is better to choose from an Amazon point of view? Or are you asking me my personal preferences as whether I prefer Austin, Seattle, Arlington, or New York? I've never been to Austin or Arlington. If I had to choose Seattle over New York, that's a hard question, actually, and probably not what everybody else is interested in. So I can't give you a view, kind of which one is better to work at from an Amazon context point of view. But awesome that you have all those choices. Austin seems really excited. There's lots of exciting things going on. There's huge growth there. So I guess it just depends on what you're looking for from a lifestyle point of view. I don't think from a professional point of view that it's a huge difference for where you work. It's obviously the individual teams are going to make a difference, but the actual location, I don't think your career is going to advance any more in Amazon if you work in Austin or if you work in Seattle. So I think it's just down to your personal preferences, really. And I've not experienced all of those cities to be able to tell you. One day, I hope I will. Okie dokie, moving on then. Okay. Okay. Right. So quickly, I'll do this for you, Rahul. So looks like you've had a bit of a bumpy ride. So your interview got rescheduled and got cancelled at the last minute. That's annoying. And you got an email saying that they were working on scheduling your interview and they'll be in touch. And then it's been a week of quietness. Any guess on what's going on? Oh, Rahul, it could be so many different things. It could easily just be that your hiring manager is all over the place and they are absolutely up against it and they're just struggling to find the right slot. It could be something more fundamental than that, where maybe there's some discussion about headcount and headcount availability, and they don't want to move forward on the interview process until they've pinned down whether the headcount is available. It could be so many different things, Rahul. So just sit tight. You know, it's been a week of quietness. Maybe message them once a week just until you get some kind of response. So if you had a week of quiet, message them. If you don't hear back, wait another week, message them again. You don't want to be harassing them, but at the same time, you also want to try and own the situation if you possibly can. So good luck. Seo's back. Hey, Seo, welcome back. Oh, and some meshes here as well. Oh, it feels like friends visiting. Come and have a cup of tea. I feel I should have my cup of tea with me so that we can have a cup of tea together. But all right. So what other questions do we have? Oh, Jasir, that's an interesting one. So would it be appropriate to ask if you can interview for another team instead after an offer has been extended? I would not, Jasir. If I was a hiring manager and I offered you a role and you said, thanks, but I'd much prefer to go and work for that team over there, I would take exception to it. If you are interviewing for a role, the expectation is you want that role. And if they offer it to you, barring having competing offers from another organization or bar them not being able to give you the comp that you're looking for, you should take that role. I think it would reflect very badly on your current and future candidacies if you said, nah, actually don't fancy you, prefer to go and work for those people over there. If those people over there don't have a role, then they don't have a role. If they had a space, they'd be recruiting anyway. But I would strongly suggest you don't do that just there. Okay, next question. Okay, so Daniello. Okay, hang on. Let me just go back up to that. Danilo? Danilo? Is that Danilo? Okay. Yes, I was going to say, you said your interview would be a year and a half. And I was like, whoa, that's a serious interview. Yeah, so 1.5 hours is probably about right. So you've got like 3:45s or something like that. Oops, I've just lost you. There we go. You're all back. Okay, what other questions do we have here? Yeah, negotiation says, okay, so yes, I have some tips on negotiation, and then I'll point you in the direction of some deep dive materials if you like. So my first tip on negotiation is I hope you've already had the conversation with your recruiter about expectations. If you haven't, you have to do it now. That's fine. For everybody else, start talking about your expectations as early on in the process as you possibly can. Do your homework. Go to websites like levels.fyi, salary.com, payscale.com, and search your locale and your job title and look at the market ranges. Have a view of what your ideal number is, have a view of what your bottom line number is, and then start to talk to your recruiter about what the range that is available in your role is. Try and get them to tell you the range. Some will, some won't. If they won't, tell them your range and make it clear to them that you are expecting something within this range. And if it's not going to be within this range, could they please warn you and warn you now? Okay, so that's at the very beginning. By the time you get to the end, Cesar, and they're making you an offer, you've already gone in, hopefully, if you've taken my advice, with a view of what the range is, and you know what your goal number is, and you know what your bottom line number is. So you'll get your first offer. I always suggest doing a counter offer. I think there's schools of thoughts about that, but I would always go for a counter offer. And when you go for a counter offer, my strongest suggestion is that you do it on RSUs. So you try and negotiate on the stock options rather than trying to negotiate on either signing on bonus or base. Amazon is much more willing to negotiate on RSUs, stock options, than they are on the other two elements of the compensation. Plus, on top of that, just from a pure economics point of view, you'll actually probably get more value for every dollar. Let's just use US dollars because it's a universal currency. For every dollar that you get in RSUs today, very likely that it will be worth more than that dollar next year, the year after. For every dollar that you get on bonus or base this year, pretty likely it's going to be worth less next year or the following year, owing to inflation. So that's my basic suggestion when it comes to negotiation. If you want to do a bit of a more deep and thorough dive on negotiation and tactics, I'm going to send you to one of my very good friends' YouTube channel. Her name's Amy Miller, and she is an Amazon recruiter. She's very active on social. She has a fabulous YouTube channel, and on her YouTube channel is a playlist which is called Let's Talk Money. So if you want to go to my YouTube channel, you will find a link to Amy's channel in my featured channel list. Otherwise, just go to the search bar in YouTube and Google Amy, Alpha Mike Yankee, Miller, Mike Indigo, Lima, Lima, Echo, Romeo, and you'll find her channel and go check out her playlist. It's very comprehensive. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Oh, okay. You pick Austin. I really want to have a look at Austin. I've never been. It sounds like a cool place. So you read online that there's a 1 in 5 chance of passing the loop. That's an odd metric. You heard it was up to you, which is true. All right, I'm slightly confused as to what you're saying to me there, Lockwood 1976, but stepping back from there, let's pretend you asked me the question of what are the odds of passing loop? So the odds of passing loop vary enormously between different roles and different business units. My experience, given all of the loops that I've done, both as a hiring manager and an interviewer and a bar raiser, because I would have done loops on all of them, I would suggest that the range is about 30 to 50% probability of passing through the loop. So I don't know where you saw the 1 in 5. It's not wrong because that's at the top end of the range that I would suggest, but it's not as hard and fast as that. That's not true for every single role in every single business unit. In my experience, it's about 30% to 50% for passing through loop. Okay, so, cool. We've got another winner chicken dinner. So you got an offer, Sherwin, for a full-time contract marketing manager for 12 months. Okay. How easily do fixed term roles in Amazon get converted into full time? Okay. So let's talk about the conversion process. So, Sherwin, you will have to go through an entire interview process in order to be converted to a blue badge. You won't have to go through round 1 and round 2, but you will have to go through a loop, and you will have to go through a loop with a bar raiser. How I don't have data because I haven't done enough conversions to tell you that I feel that I have a statistically valid, or at least even broadly statistically valid sample. Going through, you're going to have more chance than person who's just coming off the street in terms of your probability of being successful at a loop, because you'll have been at Amazon for 12 months. You'll really understand the leadership principles. You'll be able to have Amazon examples, align them to the leadership principles, and having that level of knowledge is going to be very useful, improve your chances of converting to a full-time blue badge. You'll also have on your panel people that you have worked with over that period of time. So again, they're not just collecting the evidence that you've shared with them, they're going to be able to validate that evidence having worked with you side by side. So I would say your chances are better than the 30 to 50% that I just quoted as the average for externals. But exactly what that number looks like, I'm afraid I don't have a big enough sample size. There are not hundreds of blue badge conversions that I've done in the way there are hundreds, many hundreds of loops that I've done. Okay, so gonna move on. Russell, what to expect from your first interview? So Russell, that's going to depend on the type of role that you're applying for. So if you are applying for a technical role, so let's imagine software development engineer, solutions design architect, anything like that that's got real technical elements in it, chances are that your early rounds are going to be very heavily technically focused. So competencies about your technical space, maybe even some kind of a technical test, although usually that doesn't come in until you've passed that first round. And then probably maybe one leadership principle behavioral questions. Quite often that leadership principle behavioral question doesn't even make it into round 1 because they're really, really trying to understand whether you even have the technical competency to do the job. The other thing that you can probably expect in those in that round 1 is those introductory questions. Tell me about yourself. Why Amazon? Walk me through your resume. All of those ones that are very predictable and rather obtuse. So hard to predict what exactly the person's looking for. But I'd say it's probably those key 3 things that you should be thinking about: the introductory questions, the focus on your technical capability and your technical experience, be it talking about specific scenarios or just working their way back through your resume. And then finally, the behavioral piece, which may or may not happen from a technical point of view if you're applying for a technical role. If you're not applying for a technical role and it's a non-tech side of things, again, those introductory questions are very likely to happen. Why Amazon? Tell me about yourself. Walk me through your resume. And then you're going to likely go into the behavioral questions. Again, sometimes those behavioral questions don't even make it to those early rounds because what they're really trying to do is understand your technical competencies and whether you have the skills and the capability to do the role, or it's not much point in taking you through to the next round. So it's just the technical element that you would obviously not be having if you were going for a non-technical role. Okay, I hope that helped, Russell. Okay. Right. So just say, reason you're asking me is because the recruiter is considering you for multiple teams. All right. So I guess it depends on whether you've actually made it into the interview process for those other teams. So if you're running in the interview process for 3 different teams, one team comes to you with an offer and you still haven't heard back from the other teams, then I think you're in a fine situation to say, I don't really want to give you a response to that. Thank you very much. I'm very grateful, blah, 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 delighted, it's so excited, blah, blah, blah. But I would like to hear the outcome of the other interview processes first before I make a decision. That's entirely acceptable. I would be very careful, Jasir, however, of stating a preference. So if you have not yet made it all the way through that interview process for those other teams, and a hiring manager says, I would love to have you work with me, and you then said to them, actually, I prefer that other team to you, that's a very absolute statement that would not get you off on the right foot if those other teams decided to be not inclined towards you. Imagine being a hiring manager where a potential candidate, an employee told you, I'd actually prefer to work for those other guys. Oh, actually, they didn't offer me the job. Okay, I'll come work for you. That wouldn't start a relationship out on a good foot. So it's fine if you've got those other in train and you want to keep your options open rather than give a direct answer immediately to the first offer, but be very careful how you phrase it. Something along the lines of, I'd like to wait until the other process is complete so I understand what all of my options are, would be the best approach in my suggestion. Okay. Oh, Cesar, you called me sweetheart. Oh, that's so nice. I love you people. You make me feel good. Oh, thank you. Did I ever interview for any other fangs? No, I have never interviewed for any other fangs. I wasn't even particularly interested in interviewing for Amazon, to be honest with you. It was never my goal to work in a FANG organization. That kind of concept didn't even cross my mind when I left my old company, which was British Telecom. At the time, no FANGs were ever particularly good at marketing. And I'm a marketer and I'm a career marketer. So moving to FANG was not something that was ever high on my radar. Honestly, I just spotted the Amazon job as I was scrolling through job portals, decided to submit my resume, and the rest, as they say, is history. So no, I've never interviewed at any other FANG companies. I play with the idea now and then when I think about whether I'm going to go back into kind of the corporate world or if I'm going to stay doing my own little gig thing here. So I play with it, but no, I have never interviewed at any other FANGs. Okay. Oh, Vignesh. Oh, Vignesh. Everybody, this is Vignesh. Vignesh is one of my academy students, and Vignesh had a hard time. His almost at loop, and it got cancelled because a candidate managed to pip him to the post, first past the post process, and we were all devastated for him in the community. They moved him onto another job rec, looped for that, and got the role. So thank you for joining today, Vignesh, and I'm still so excited for you. Congratulations. It's going to be amazing. And thank you for being such an active member of the Academy community and supporting people with their mock interviews. You're a superstar. I'm so excited for you. Woo. Okay. What other questions do we have then? Right. Okay. Russell. So do you need to know the Amazon advertising suite? So Russell, I'm assuming you're going for a role in Amazon advertising. So I have bar raised on quite a few Amazon advertising roles, and they are actually, as a group, quite specific about asking their candidates details about their knowledge and their awareness of the Amazon advertising portfolio, particularly as it stands competitively to other options out there in the market. Most teams tend to be not that specific about really demanding that people understand their products. But when it's such a customer facing product like Amazon advertising, I think the team tends to bias towards really wanting people who deeply understand their portfolio. So if I were you, I would suggest doing your homework in that space, because I would imagine you are going to get those types of questions where people, at least on warm-up questions, will want to know what your knowledge set is as far as the portfolio is concerned. Okay, moving on then. Hey, Matt. Right, so you had a first phone interview last week for non-tech, and between that interview and a date for the second round, the role disappeared from the job website. Okay. You've got the second interview Friday, but the role description and location have now gone. Any suggestions? So it's quite hard to draw a conclusion from that, Matt, because all sorts of fun and games happens in the background with job descriptions. So I would have changed job descriptions where I wasn't quite getting the right candidates through, and my recruiter has had to pull it down to then put it back up again. It wouldn't read too much into what has or has not happened on the jobs portal. If you still have an interview, just assume that you are still on. And you know what? If the location has changed or anything like that, it's probably just worth asking the recruiter and mentioning to the recruiter, look, I've noticed there's been a change. Is there any change to where the role's going to be placed, etc.? But for now, I would just say head down, assume that you are still absolutely in the running and that this is the role that you want. Double check with your recruiter. But unless you're told the job has gone or the job has fundamentally changed, you should keep going, would be my take on it. Okay, so. Okay. So it originally said UK and Spain, but now both are missing. Don't worry about it, Matt, for now. Just keep going. Just keep going. If it had changed and it was something, if now it suddenly said Germany, then I would say, okay, you might want to talk to them about it. But if it's just gone completely, it may just be that they uploaded a new version and someone forgot to put the location information on it. It might just be as simple as that. I know I used to mess up my recs all the time, particularly if I have multiple recs on the go. I'd end up putting the wrong content in each rec. I'm not totally incompetent, but sometimes that did happen to me. Okay. Right. Do we have any other questions today? Small audience today, I have to say. My Wednesday group shrunk a little bit today. Any other questions? If not, I guess we might wrap up early. We're at 6:02. All right, then. So if we don't have any more questions, I did say at the beginning, actually, if you don't have any more questions, please do, once again, like the stream, like the stream, like the stream. Maybe you'll go to sleep dreaming like the stream. Again, it makes a massive difference to me and the visibility of my content on the algorithm if you like the stream. So I'd be very grateful. I've given you my time. Please, please, please do me a small favor and click like on the stream. And that counts for anybody watching on replay as well, because of course, the longer it's out there, the more likes, the more it'll surface. So if we do not have any more questions, then let me give you the best freebie you're going to get this week. Right? I know it's a bold statement, but I'm feeling confident about that bold statement. This is the best freebie you're going to get this week. So here is my website, the Amazon. I still can't. Every time I've done this like 30, 35 times and I always count from the wrong side. AmazonInterviewWizAcademy.com. There you can get my Customer Obsession Masterclass. The Customer Obsession Masterclass will take you through the 4 different facets of customer obsession. Yes, there are 4 different facets of customer obsession, and that will help you pick the right examples from your career history. It will tell you pretty much exactly what your interviewer is looking for in your answer around customer obsession, and you'll be able to see a mock interview of me interviewing me, which will show you how to land the type of behavioral information in interview. Now, I give the Customer Obsession Masterclass away completely free because obviously I want you to test my product, love it, and like Vignesh, become Academy member and land your job at Amazon. Clearly, I would like that. But I give away the Customer Obsession Masterclass most specifically because I guarantee every single one of you, if you make it through to a final loop, will get asked customer obsession. I bet my children's life on it, bet my dog's life on it. Not sure which one of those I value more. Changes probably hourly, but anyway, you will definitely be asked customer obsession. So in that I was giving something away for free, it may as well be the one that everybody is going to get value from. So head on over there. I don't use it as an email capture solution. I know most giveaways are done because they want to get your email and then do follow-up marketing. I don't do that. I hope that my product is good enough to convince you that you should invest it further in your preparation. Okay, so on that note, I've got a random question from Jasir. Do I have any? That's a good question, Jasir. So let me just close this. Let me get rid of this banner. Is that how I do that? Yeah, that's how I do that. Right. So I'm going to answer this one for Jasir. It's a bit unusual. I usually end at that point. But do I have any career advice that I would give someone joining Amazon? Do I have any career advice? Be bold. Okay. It's very, very easy to get yourself caught up is the wrong word because you've obviously got a job to do, but it is very easy to be very, very focused on your job and delivering results and getting high bar performances. But the opportunities in Amazon are enormous. It's way easier to jump skill sets inside Amazon than it would be in any other organization you'll ever work in. Way easier, certainly, to jump skill sets inside Amazon than trying to jump it between organizations. So keep your head up and look around for other parts of the business that you might be interested in evolving your skills in, because there's no organization in the world other than Amazon that will let you do that. So if you're a product manager and you want to move into an SDE, you can. If you're a marketing manager and you wanted to move to product management, you could. If you're a procurement person and you want to move over to vendor management, you could. So my advice is use the opportunities that are out there. Keep your head up, pay attention to the other roles, be bold, apply for other roles in other skill sets, use the networks. There are loads of Amazon networks. Use those networks to make connections, find mentors, and build your career. Amazon is absolutely a place that you can build a very, very successful, interesting, diverse, long-term career. That would be my best piece of advice for an Amazon career. Okay, so on that note, I am going to, hang on, I've got another question. I keep saying I'm going to wrap up and then I've got another question, so that's okay. Anzil, welcome Anzil. I've definitely never seen you before, so welcome. So your interviewer has changed. He said the other person called in sick. That happens all the time. He sounded a bit uninterested to conduct the interview and it lasted only 24 minutes. Hope it doesn't bias the final outcome. So I would find it surprising that a last-minute replacement biases the outcome. And I also think you just have to be a little bit careful about the judgments that you make about whether somebody's interested in you or not. I know the expectation is always that the person on the other side of the table is going to be really high energy and engaging, like me, but there are plenty of times where you'll meet people who are introverts, both as an interviewer and as an interviewee. Maybe you just had an introverted interviewer who wasn't boisterous, who wasn't hyperbolic, and they're just quietly listening to you, consuming the information, writing their notes. So what you consider to be behaviors that are indicative of a lack of interest may not be that at all. They may just be indicative of that person's way of working. So don't overthink it, Anzil. And a last-minute replacement shouldn't and won't make any difference to the data gathering exercise and the quality of thinking around whether you raise the bar against the leadership principles or not. Okay, Ramiz, okay, so how soon after joining can you start looking at other jobs internally? So there's no firm number where you are not allowed to apply for other roles until you've been in X period of time. Generally, there may be some nuances in some of the warehouses and the operations spaces, but generally at a corporate level, there's no hard and fast rule. But it's very poor show if you're in a role for 6 months and you decide you're going to start applying for other roles. Amazon's kind of promotion window is around 2 years. Their expectation is it'll take you about 2 years to work in a role and master it. And at that point, generally your manager is going to be saying to you, right, we should be talking about promotion at this point. The only time where it's generally okay to start looking for another role within kind of a 6-month period is if it turns out actually the role that you were moved into was a bad match. So I've had that before where I've taken on MBA students and it just MBA people, and it absolutely hasn't worked out. Bad fit, bad role. I'd had to work out and work with them and the MBA council to try and get them an alternative fit and a better fit. It's happened to me once, I think, although I've been aware of it happening to colleagues of mine more than that. And in the end, it worked out very well. And there was a happy end story for that person. And they are still 7 years, 7 or 6 years later in Amazon. So that worked out well. But I would say, Ramiz, you want to have a good 12 to 18 months in a role before you start saying it's time to move on to something else, because it's unlikely you'll have mastered your role in anything under than 12 to 18 months. And saying you want to move on in any time less than a time where you've mastered a role is going to create kind of question marks, both for your current manager and potentially future hiring managers. Okay, So I think we're done now. So thank you very much for those that hung around till the end. Appreciate you joining. Please, as I say, like the stream. And I'm back again on Monday, 5:30 p.m. British summertime. Still British summertime, thank God. Until then, please stay safe. COVID is out there. My son currently isolating in his bedroom with COVID. I have had my PCR and I do not have COVID. God knows how I managed to avoid catching it. But yeah, so please, I'm going to sign off now. So if you do have other questions, you can always ping me on YouTube. I will try and respond to your questions on the videos on my YouTube within about 24 hours. So everybody, please be safe. And I really hope to see you again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.